On today's Success and Excuses podcast, we have Anna. Anna, welcome to Success and Excuses podcast.
Hi James, thanks for having me.
I'm really looking forward to this conversation. First of all, why don't you tell our listeners, our viewers, who is Anna?
So, hi everyone, my name's Anne Okafor and I am a construction planner to trade. I've been in the industry about 10, 11 years now. Started off as a student, worked my way through different job titles, I guess, site management, design management, and then ended up being a planner. Now I have my own business doing some construction planning, but I'm also a PhD student doing a sustainable procurement degree. Yeah. So it's been a journey.
Amazing. Listen, as you probably are aware, we work a lot in construction and we work with a lot of females in construction. It's quite a tough gig, isn't it, for a woman in that sector?
It can be. I will say, however, my journey's been pretty good.
Oh well, okay, good. That's
so
first time.
I will say that there have been challenges, and there always is. However, I used to work in hospitality and retail for like 20 years, right, and that was probably worse for me in my experience.
So you came with a thick skin.
Yeah, I came with a thick skin anyway. But to be fair, I've had a lot of support when I've come into industry from males and females. I have had challenges, but on the whole, it's been a positive experience for me. So yeah, it's not often that you hear that sometimes.
It's not.
I think it's fair to say that there are challenges. I've had some, but certainly not to the scale that some other women have experienced. So it's not to say that there aren't problems, because I want to make that clear. But I've not had any of the really horrific stories that some people have. Generally, it's been a positive experience. Mine are a few people, but that's right, par for the course.
I'm going to go back.
Go back.
Right, we're going back in time. So, left school. Tell us about the journey. Tell us about Anna. Anne, so I keep saying Anna. Tell us about Anne.
It's one of the better things I've been called. So, well, when I left school after standard grades, so around
I was
16.
Standard grades as well, yeah.
And at that point, I was actually homeless for a period of time. So I didn't have the opportunities that, is the standard journey. Leave school, stay on, do hires and then go to uni and stuff. I didn't do that. So I left school, had a period of homelessness, got through that, and then I got on what I call is the hamster wheel of life. You just get a job and you have to pay bills.
It's a hamster wheel.
You just do what you need to do, pay the bills, do what you need to do again the next month, and you keep going. And then when I was late 20s, I was just fed up. I went away on my holiday to Bruges. I was working as like a supervisor in a wee sort of co-op kind of shop. And on the way home, I was like, I cannot go and deal with the public for the rest of my life. I cannot do this forever. I need to do something else. So I applied on the way home on the train, I did applications for going back to college because I was just like, I'm so fed up. Didn't think anything would come of it.
Did you know what you were going to do when you were doing applications?
I'd kind of applied to do, it was built environment stuff. I really wanted to do architectural technology. Yeah. That's what I had my head set on since I was a teenager. But I just thought, I'll apply to a few built environment things and see what's out there. Didn't really expect to get into college because I didn't have the qualifications. I left school at 16 and my maths was terrible, and I was really worried about that. A friend was like, just see what happens, and then I got an interview for Forth Valley College in Stirling. So I thought, I'll just have a wee day out. I'll head down to Stirling, have a wee day out. And at this point, I was living in Granton-on-Spey, so I was 3.5 hours away.
Wow. So, that's way up.
Yeah.
How beautiful is Granton-on-Spey?
It's absolutely stunning.
Isn't
lovely.
it?
It's really such a lovely place.
So it's a hidden gem. I always think it's a hidden gem.
It is. It's beautiful up there, and we probably don't appreciate it.
Is that where you're originally from?
I'm originally from Elgin.
Right,
so a wee bit further north
further up again.
So a bit this part, so I was working in Granton-on-Spey, and I was...
Was that in the hospitality industry?
Hospitality and retail, so I was in pubs and I was in shops at the same time. Got it. Hamster wheel grinding, So my friend said, why don't you just go to interview? And I was like, yeah, I'll just go and have a wee day out. And so I hadn't told anyone apart from this one friend that I'd applied because, it was just like a pipe dream. It was, by that point, I'd been home from a holiday a few months and I'd kind of forgotten about it, didn't really expect to hear. So I thought, I'll have a wee day out. But when I was down there, I had an interview with the college and they were like, yep, you can start. It starts in a month. So I'm like...
That was that?
And I'm like...
You can start?
You can start. And I'm like, this wasn't in the plan, like really in the plan. You know, I live 3.5 hours away. So that, luckily the interview was quite early in the morning. So I went and I found a flat that afternoon in Stirling. And I phoned my landlord and my job, like on the way back up the road, and said, I'm handing him my notice, I'll give you
Talk
official.
about success and excuses.
I was just like, this is the moment. Like, I don't know what came over. I mean, now I look back and I think, I don't know if I'd be so brave. But in my head, there's hospitality and retail everywhere, so I could get a job. It'll be fine.
If it didn't work out,
if it doesn't work out, it'll be fine. But this is my chance to go to college and give it a go. So that's what I did.
It must have been scary, was it?
It was so scary because I didn't know anyone in Stirling. I didn't know anyone in the construction industry. Not one soul. Like, I didn't know anyone.
Yeah.
I didn't have that support. I didn't have anyone in my family that was in construction. It was just something that I had in my head I wanted to do. And then I just decided to do it, I guess. I got the opportunity was there and I was like, this is my moment. I'm in my late 20s. If I don't take this now, it might never happen again. I have to go and I have to move. So...
Or you talk yourself out it.
Or you would just talk yourself out. So exactly 4 weeks later, I moved all of my stuff to Stirling, 3.5 hours away to a place I didn't know anyone, didn't have a job to go to. I didn't have any real knowledge about construction other than this was something I felt like I wanted to do and explore. And I started what was the NC built environment at Falkirk College. I then went on to do my HNC at Forth Valley, and then people were sort of saying to me, you should really go and get your degree. And I was like, people like me don't get a degree. That's not part of the plan. Part of the plan was just to do the HNC and get the...
And that's enough, and I'll get into the industry.
Get in the industry and get work experience. But people were like, well, because you don't have a trade, then you might be better getting the degree and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, people like me don't really go to university because these are stories we're told.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you know, we're told all our life.
Go get a job.
Get a job, do this. You know, you leave school at 16,
especially when you come from an environment or I mean, I don't want to, like, I had a really good... happy-ish upbringing, and my dad's an amazing guy, and we're like brothers. We have a great relationship, but it was a struggle growing up. We had nothing, and we had nothing. I mean, we knew when my dad had made a good wage at work because we were allowed to get a carry out in a Friday night when it was a Chinese or it was the Indians, and it was actually a Chinese or a chip shop. And that's when we know we had money, because we didn't have anything.
We were the same.
But nobody really had anything, so you didn't really notice it.
No, and I don't think you noticed those things. Certainly back maybe when we were kids, when there wasn't social media and stuff like that, you didn't really notice stuff like that as much. You kind of knew people had like the designer brands and stuff like that.
Or
if
they fancy trainers.
You maybe didn't have that or whatever, you know, but you didn't really know the extent of it. Do you know what I mean? Probably didn't appreciate it. So I from a similar kind of start in life, and I just feel like so for me it was a case of, you know, that's okay and you can start whatever, you know, we all start somewhere. But
I've had multiple careers.
You know, well, exactly.
Multiple careers.
And I just feel like for me personally, I had a real conversation with myself, and I say it's the hardest conversation I ever had, was when I realised that when I start somewhere, I can start anywhere. My circumstances can be whatever. If I stay there, that's on me. So
success and excuses.
Exactly. I sort of like looked at myself and said, you know, you have to do something about this. You can't just get pissed off with the world and be upset that you've not had this nice start. You need to understand that what happened was, you know, people did their best. You are where you are, but you can change that if you want to.
Absolutely. Every morning you wake up, you can change.
You can change it. We all have a choice, like all the time. Even when we don't feel like we've got a choice.
We have got a choice.
There's always a choice, you know, and as hard as that can be, sometimes you've got to be brave. And so I just went on this journey. I ended up taking the advice. I went,
so you did the degree.
I
Wow.
did the degree.
Tell me how that was then. When you first went to uni, what did that feel like? It
was absolutely bizarre. Absolutely bizarre, because I'm like, what, you know, this is surreal for me because I didn't expect I would ever be there. It's still strange for me.
What uni did you go to?
Glasgow Cali.
So did I, but we'll talk about that later.
So I went there. I did my... I went as second year, so it was second year, third year, and then I did my final for the honours degree. I got that, and when I found out that I'd passed, I actually got a first class, amazingly.
Wow. How proud must you have been yourself?
There was only 3 of us in our cohort that got a first class in that, and I was the only female, so there you go, there's a wee success for females in construction. But so for me, that was amazing. I was waiting on the email all day. So you're checking your email, you know, that way when you're checking. It wasn't coming. I was at work all day, checking, not coming. I was like, right, I need to drive home now. I'll just drive. And then, so when I drove, As soon as I stopped outside my house, I checked the email and it was there, and I just froze. I was like, I can't even look at it. And I was there for, I don't know how long I was there for, and I was looking, I was like, I can't look at this, because what if it's a failure? You know, what if it's a thing? And I'm like, but you know, in myself, I know that failure is at the end of the story, but I've put in the work, I've worked really hard, so I'm sure it'll be fine. So I then opened up the thing before I went in the house, and I just sat in my car greeting for ages. So much so that my husband thought that something had happened to me, came out looking for me, and just found me in floods of tears.
What's wrong with you?
So he's thinking like something's really bad's happened and I failed it because I'm in such a mess in the car. And I'm like handing him my phone and stuff like that. I'm like, read that, I've passed, I've got first class. And he's like, why are you greeting this? And I'm like, and it was just all that emotion and all that, you know, all those decisions, all that grit that I'd put in, all those like trying to believe yourself every day, like, you know, going to uni and then.
And it's hard graft when you have got that, like, this is not supposed to be my path.
Yeah.
But something inside you gets you up every morning, keeps you moving forward, and probably I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody, but I think, see, sometimes, this is just my experiences, see, when it's not really supposed to be your path, you almost have an inner grit.
Yeah.
Isn't it? You just have this, no, I'm going to show
like,
everybody wrong.
Have that like extra little battle, like, you know, not necessarily all the time, but at certain times it shows up. You know, if you're, you know, doing a presentation or something like that, you know, like a few years ago, I would have never said yes to this. I wouldn't have been on camera. I wouldn't have spoke out. Even when I was like doing university presentations, I was like, oh, do I have to do that? You know, but it's that, just a little bit of courage each time, doing the things that are really hard, and actually they're always,
that's where the real growth is.
But that's where the good stuff happens. You know what I mean? It's that little bit that when you're just brave enough just to take a little step. So I didn't put like big expectations on myself to like go and do a big massive presentation. I'm like, right, just get up there and just
do something.
Like, just get up there. Some days that was the challenge. And I'm like, right, if you can do that, then next time you can think of something else. Always like seeking the feedback and trying to see like, right, what did people say I did well? What did they say I didn't do well? And then just trying to improve a little bit each time. So I did that. I passed the uni, got a first class, delighted, happy with myself. I did my dissertation on quality management in construction, and I loved it. I loved finding out how we make things better in the industry, and that's what really makes me tick overall. And now people look at me and say, oh, you do this and you do this and you do this, and how do they all connect? But to me, it's all about making the industry better. All of the things I get involved in, no matter how random they may seem.
Well, that's your LinkedIn, basically. That's it. It's making it better.
It's just making it better. It's progress. It's making things better. Progress speaks to me as a construction planner. I like progress. I like to see things moving on. I like to see things getting better, but also just the industry. I want to leave it better. I want people not to have, you know, these experiences that people hear about. I want people to be able to come in our industry and feel welcomed and love it and get the good stuff that I see a lot of the time. I want them to get that experience. So for me, it's about trying to help that process and help that happening. So.
And it's a fantastic industry for women.
It is brilliant.
Once you're in and you've got a good company and you've got, you know, a really properly diverse leadership team, construction is an incredible industry, and you can make shitloads of money.
Exactly. I think that's the thing. It's full of opportunity, and it's an opportunity for all sorts of different personalities, all sorts of different enjoyments, what you like. You know, if you want to be outside, there's a job for you. You want to be inside, there's a job for you. You want to be in the office, there's a job for you. You want to be more on your feet and
there's a job.
Whatever you like to do and how you like to work. There's opportunities like in any sort of way. And it's not just site things, it's things like, you know, business management, social media management, have all those things, insurance, lawyers, you know,
marketing,
construction has absolutely everything, like almost every job title. So whatever you want to do, come to construction, because it's there, you know, it can facilitate it. But it's about making the industry welcoming, and it's about making the industry better for people to come in.
So how would you suggest, right? So we'll go to the kind of technical stuff, right? But so let's say and there will be young females or females maybe in a different career, and they're like, well, that sounds really interesting. What would you say to them? What would you say advice, what would your advice be to them?
So for me personally, I would say network, get in, speak to people who are in the industry. If you don't know what kind of job you think might suit you, ask people what they do, what does their day-to-day look like, and try and get a gauge for what you might like to do, topics you might like to, if you want to do like sort of quantity survey and mathematics sort of stuff, speak to people who do that, speak to a variety of people. One thing I think we sometimes don't do as well in the industry is networking. There's lots of networking goes on, but I think people don't understand that everyone can network. So, and it's especially good for people starting out or looking to get into the industry. Come and find out about what we're doing. Reach out to professional bodies as well. Like I've been really lucky in my career with the CIOB, which is the Chartered Institute of Building. They were brilliant. As I said before, I didn't have anyone in construction. I didn't know anyone. So when I was at college, the lecturer said to me, "Why didn't you go along to this?" And I was like, and again, I don't want to be disrespectful, but my thought was, it's the Blue Blazer Brigade. It's a bunch of guys in suits. What have I got in common with these?
The CEO is a woman.
Yes. But at that time, it was a man,
right? Okay.
Which is fine. And to be fair, that was my impression of these type of things. And my lecturer was like, "Well, but it'll be good for you to network and find out and speak to people." And this was about going up to university and speak to people who have been there and done that, and speak to different people. So I was like, and I almost went as a defiance, just to be like, right, I'm just going to show him like this is going to be rubbish. I'll just go. And I went and I met the three ladies that run the CIOB in Scotland at the time. Two of them who are still there. So
it was females that were running it.
Female who are like the regional manager.
So you must have been like.
And there was like there was females there was recruiters there was all sorts of different people there, so I was quite surprised. I just got chatting to people and I had good fun, and then the ladies from CIOB made me so welcome and invited me back to other things. And as they say, the rest is history. I've been involved now with the CIOB for about 11 years because I just kept going back. So I've worked my way through becoming a member, so I'm a chartered member, but I've also worked my way through. So I used to help with the young professionals group, so helping people come in. We used to set up events, and we still do set up events for people, networking events to get people to come into industry so that they can network with like seasoned professionals, so they can have that opportunity to talk to people who have all different job types. So we'd put those things on networking, CPDs, all that sorts of things. And I worked my way through, and I'm now currently the chair of the Northern region in Scotland. So I've kind of worked.
What's that like?
It's brilliant. It's so good being able to serve my professional body, and I feel like for me it's giving back to a professional body who's given me so much, because like I said, I didn't know anyone in the industry when I started out, and now because of the CIOB, I have a global network. I know people on just about every continent because of the work that I've done.
It's in every continent.
It's global. It's every continent. Right. So I've been lucky enough to represent the CIOB globally at the members' forums. So they've all been in the UK for the stints that I've had, but people come from all over the world. My network is now global in the industry, when 10 years ago I didn't know one person. So
that wee lassie, homeless lassie, I had the scuba right, she's there is now the chair of Scotland for the CIOB.
For the Northern region, and you just
goes to show, doesn't it?
And it's just that wasn't on the plan necessarily. And when I look back 10 years ago,
I'm going to go back. Success and excuses.
Absolutely,
you just never made excuses. You just kept going forward.
The next thing, and I don't necessarily always, which is strange for a planner, not to have a concrete plan. But my plan has always been to know my travel direction, and to always be open-minded about having the courage to take a little offshoot of it. If you go on a road trip, you don't want to always to be rigid and say, right, well, we're going from A to B and that's it. If you see something interesting on the side, you maybe want to say, well, I'm going to take half an hour and explore. That's how I run my life, basically. Is I'm open to opportunities.
Yes, you've got a plan.
I've got a direction of travel, but I'm open to opportunity as they come along. And by living that, I've had lots of different opportunities. I say yes to things when I'm thinking, why? Sometimes I'm more strategic, and a lot of the times I can be quite strategic. There's always intention with me, and sometimes that intention is I'm just going to be curious about this, and that can be an intention. Sometimes it's actually, this is good for my growth. I'm going to be courageous. I'm going to step out and I'm going to try this. And sometimes it's just because I want to do it and it brings me joy, and there's no other reason, but there's still an intention for it. So I don't necessarily have like this strict, like I'm going from A to B, but it can be I'm going to explore that little offshoot. And by doing that, I think I've had a richer experience. Because, you know, through LinkedIn and stuff, I've had amazing opportunities to go and speak. I've been able to
LinkedIn's brilliant.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Because
I think most people don't realise how to maximise the use of LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
You know, connect, contact, message, comment, get to know people.
It's networking. It's networking. It's like online networking.
In global scale.
I think a lot of people think that I don't need a job just yet, so I'll just wait until I need a job.
But that's what LinkedIn used to be for. It used to be for job.
Absolutely.
But it's not any longer.
And I think some people, you know, whether you're online networking or in-person networking, don't wait until you need something. Don't wait until you've been asked. Start going to networking and see how you can help other people.
Build a community. Yeah.
Because certainly in my career, so I've been my role has been made redundant twice along this journey as well, and my network was so invaluable on both occasions. You know, whereby in both occasions I wasn't without a job. You know, the role was made redundant and I was straight into something else because my network rallied for me. Yes, I did the work, but I also did the pre-work of building that network.
You know,
that's amazing. So you know, people say, well, you've got the network. And people say, oh, you but I do the work. I go to networking.
That's the key.
I help people. I connect people. I have
got the network, but
I put the work in.
Here's what I've done to get that network.
You know, and I help people. You know, I try to help people as much as I can. I try to connect people where I can. If I see someone looking for something, I try and make introductions and stuff like that. So then when I needed something, people rallied for me. You know, people cheerleaded. They offered to help me, like, look at my CV, talk to me about opportunities in their jobs, and, you know, just different experiences to give me options. So I never felt like, oh, I'm made redundant. You know, and yes, you feel rubbish when that happens, but I didn't feel like this is you know, like the most terrible thing in the world, because I was like, actually, this is just an opportunity to reevaluate if this is, do I still want to do this thing? Is there other opportunities
out there? It was being made redundant that pushed me to start my business.
Yeah, so same. So after, I think we got as far as, like, finished at uni. So then I went back and did a postgraduate diploma at University of West of Scotland. Yep. It was supposed to be a master's again. So we had this, like, I'd set out on this plan, hopefully to do the master's, but then divorce came and, you know, shook the apple cart and threw me off a wee bit, muddied me a wee bit. But I did the postgraduate diploma, and it was one of those where I felt like it was a failure. And I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a lecturer at Aberdeen at Robert Gordon, and I was saying to her, you know, maybe you do the PhD one day, you know. And I was saying to her about it. She's like, oh, didn't you do your master's as well? Oh no, don't speak about it, because it didn't end up being a master's, it was a postgraduate diploma, so I've just kind of dinged it. I didn't even graduate at first because I was ashamed that I'd never got the master's element.
After all, like, the things that you'd achieved up to that point.
And then I just had this sort of, like, moment where I just froze in life, and I was like, you know, divorce, it kind of threw me, and you're kind of reevaluating things. So and then I felt ashamed, you know. I was like, you know, I've not managed to fulfill that. And and she was like, a postgraduate diploma is still amazing, by the way. And I was like, well, yeah, but it was not what I set out to do. And she's like, but forget that, but it's still amazing. She's like, celebrate the success. She's like, you know this stuff, you do this, you know. And I was like, yeah, I know, but. And she was like, no buts, just go. And I was like, you know what, you're right. So I thought about it. So I contacted the university. I said, look, I actually finished this course a couple of years ago, but I didn't graduate. Can I get my paperwork anyway? And then so they invited me to graduation. So, you know, I thought, I'm going to that ceremony. I am absolutely going to that ceremony. And would you believe it or not, and this is a word of a truth, the song that was playing on the organ in the graduation ceremony was my wedding song.
Oh, dearie me.
It was my wedding song. I couldn't believe it. It was For the Love of a Princess. I could not believe it. And I had such a laugh about it, because as soon as I got into the Abbey, it was at Paisley Abbey, and it was The Love of a Princess on the organ, and I was like, that was my wedding song to walk in. I was like, someone up there's having an absolute laugh at me today. I thought, good one. So I just, anyway, I graduated. And then I went about business, working and things. And then earlier this year, role was made redundant. They took me in. We're making your role redundant, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well. And they're like, how do you feel about it? I said, well, it's not great. But I said, the last time this happened, I actually ended up better off. So I'm hoping that'll happen again. And the guy looked at me like, you know, and I was like, well, you know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I was like, nobody wants to be in this situation. Nobody wants to be in this room. But we are. So, we'll deal with it, whatever happens. So I'd sent, my first email was to a lecturer, and I was like, if there's any PhD opportunities, now would be the time, because we've been talking about possibly doing it at some point.
You've got
and I was just like, I need to
just
the
do
next
something.
thing, you know. So he said, there's nothing at the moment, but there is something in the works. I'll let you know when it's live on the website, and you can see if it works out in time. So in the meantime, I started applying for jobs, as you do. Then he sent me, as I was like I'd had a few interviews, and I'd had like quite a successful interview with one company who I later found out were in the process of sending me an offer or creating an offer for me at this time. I phoned them up and I said, I'm pursuing this PhD, so by October, if I get that, now I've only just applied, but if I get that, I'm not going to be able to work for you, so I'm withdrawing from the process. Now I'm redundant, I have no job to go to, and people say that's absolutely mental to make that decision, to phone them up and say, you know, I'm withdrawing.
But you know,
the way I wanted to work, you know, I'm a professional. I wanted to be honest. I know how expensive it is to recruit. I don't want to ruin my reputation. I don't want to be start a job. So I phoned them up. I said, look, I'm withdrawing from the process. It takes a lot of courage as well, doesn't it? It was so scary, because I was like, what if I don't get this PhD? Then I've got nothing. Yeah. But I was like, if I'm going to pursue this PhD, I have to put everything into it, because it's a big thing. I really want it. I really want this. So I need to put my effort into it. I need to make the application as good as I can. I need to withdraw. So they were like, well, you know what, would you be able to work a couple of days a week? Because no PhD is full time, but it's usually 3 days a week, whatever, and you're allowed a couple of days to work. And I was like, well, that would be the ideal situation. They were like, well, let us come back to you. But originally we were only really looking for someone a couple of days a week. So that's what happened. So it ended up that I have set up my business to facilitate that work in a couple of days a week.
So this is how the business came up.
So because it was like, you know, and then I was like, if I do that,
you're a consultant, basically.
Yes. But I was like, if I do that, if the PhD doesn't happen, then I've got the mechanism to then be able to take on more clients. Yeah. If the project with them, you know, finishes shorter, whatever, I've got a mechanism to be able to take on more clients, to have my own destiny.
And you've got a new feather in your cap as well.
And I've done that sort of like work behind setting up, and so I know how that works, and I've got all that systems in place, so that then.
Was that a scary time?
It was so scary, and I was at Members Forum as well, in Belfast with the CIOB. Yeah. So I finished my work on the Friday. My role was made redundant officially on this Friday, and on the Sunday I flew out to Belfast to be at the Members Forum. So I was doing all of this, the application for uni, and speaking with this contractor about this job, and trying to set up my business while I was in Belfast doing Members Forum. So the poor guy that was the chair for Central Scotland, Derek, who's a fantastic person, had all my troubles. He was my sounding board. He was so brilliant, and a lot of the other people in the room, to be fair. And I'm so grateful. And again, it's that community, because I was able to go to them. I'm doing a PhD. There was lots of academics in the room. I'm doing a PhD. What do you think? How do you think I can? What qualities should I be?
You've already made the decision, but you're just making sure you made the right one.
Sound checking and making sure that I was, you know, if they asked me this, what sort of things would you, as an academic, and from industry, what do you think I should focus on, and blah blah blah. So I made the most of being in that room that week, you know. So as much as it was really scary,
that's amazing. Like, I love that. That's amazing.
And I just
if you don't know, learn.
Exactly.
That's it, isn't it? Go in there, ask the questions. I talk about this all the time.
We're so in a world of like information is there, right?
It's overload.
It's overload. There. So you can get whatever you want, whatever you want.
And now the world is even easier.
But when you're in a room of people, ask them. Just like be curious, ask, you know. And some people maybe don't have the time or can't help you, and that's fine. Just go, and someone else will. And that's why I feel it's a responsibility for me to give back to the industry all the time as well. Yes. So I do a lot of giving back in STEM work, and working with young professionals as well.
And it must be quite hard work as well, because you're doing your day, you're doing your PhD, and you're going out there and you're putting yourself, you know, in the mix. Yeah. And I think, going back to something you said earlier, some people say, but it's all right for you because you've got a really good network. Have you any idea the hours I've put in to build this network? Yeah.
I remember when I passed one of my assignments at university in my undergraduate degree, someone said, well, it's all right for you. You've got all the help you want with all your network, your fancy network and all your LinkedIn pals and that. I was like, you could have the same if you put the effort in. Yeah. Anyone can do that. Like, I didn't do anything special. All I did was set up my profile.
Get out your comfort zone, number one.
Out my comfort zone, but just, you know, and I wouldn't even, like, if someone was ever to look back on my LinkedIn page, you won't ever see my face on there up until recently, because I was too scared to have a photo.
Right,
I
okay,
was like, I'm not having a photo. That was up until about 3 years ago.
For somebody that showed that bravery right through your life, that
exactly.
blows me
But
away.
I would not have a photograph.
So you still had this self-conscious thing?
Until about maybe 2 or 3 years ago,
right.
I wouldn't have a selfie, and I was absolutely mortified if anyone had like a selfie. So part of me doing my own podcast was to get on camera, because I was like, I've been being asked to do more STEM stuff on camera. It was the COVID and everyone was on camera, and I'm like, I don't want to be on camera. So that kind of helped a little bit, because you were forced into the situation a little bit. Sometimes you need a little nudge out of the comfort zone or dragging out of it, but sometimes, a lot of times I can facilitate that nudge for myself, but sometimes you just need someone to give you, or a circumstance to give you that wee push.
Would you say the networking and the CIOB and also gave you started to build your confidence?
Absolutely.
Because all of a sudden
100%.
you're talking to people you've never met, so strangers.
Yeah.
And then these strangers become, then you get your comfort zone again, and as you said, you're travelling, you're Belfast, and you're going to these other events, and that's building your confidence every single day.
Like so saying about presentations, then I was asked to go and present at university, tell the students, like in first year, I was maybe in third and fourth year, tell the first year students about your experience. I'm like, I'm not doing a presentation, I'm not doing that. But then I was like, actually I'm just going to say yes to that, because that's growth for me.
Absolutely.
So the more I kept saying yes to these opportunities, the more I got asked to do things, but the more comfortable they were, so I would get different things. So believe it or not, now I'm doing guest lectures for a few different universities on different topics, one including LinkedIn for students, and about project management 2050, so what the industry is going to look like in 2050, like what skills we're going to be looking for, and then some technical kind of...
Do you think AI is going to play a big part?
I don't think we're going to get away from that.
No, I think we're in it.
I think we're, that's inevitable. But the way I see it is, it's just like other revolutions before. It's a tool. I kind of like to think about it in simple terms, like a calculator. Like, we still need, the calculator can do the maths, but you need to know what to punch in to make it work.
Or you go to Google.
Or you can go to Google, but you can, there still needs to be a human element of analysis.
Of course.
And of understanding. There's certain things that humans can only do. So I think we should focus on those things and skills, Google can give us information, AI can give us information, it can give us stats and that, but to interrogate that, to analysis,
you need to have an understanding.
You need to have an understanding. There needs to be a human element of, what does this mean for us?
Or if somebody's AI or Google or anything spits out an answer, you've got to be able to look at it and go,
that's not right. Does it feel right?
Does it feel right? And that's only because you've learned
we've learned that lesson. Certain things like the human skills, sometimes referred to soft skills. You talk about motivational intelligence, stuff like that. AI can't give us that sort of stuff. It can tell you get up at 5 o'clock and go to the gym or something, but if that's what you want to do, it's not me. I swim sometimes at 6 o'clock, but
everybody's got their own things that they do.
It's what works for you. But
absolutely.
Motivation. AI can't give us those feelings. It can't give us the courage that it's taken me to do the things. It can give us information to make choices, but it can't give you the courage. It can't. It can't give you the curiosity. It can't drive those things. So I think we still need to help people instill those things for themselves and learn them. And I think it could be quite a useful tool for certain things. But with caution, I think at the moment, because we don't know. We don't know what it's going to look like. It's kind of a bit unknown territory.
Listen, I was running a programme yesterday for the Scottish Government, and there was 10 business owners, CEOs, senior business people, and it was about AI. Right? I'm not an AI expert. I'm leadership. Yeah. But it was about how does leaders adopt AI? So there are all these companies were all adopting AI, and they were finding it challenging to implement it, to get people bought. And I was basically teaching them how to communicate, the leadership communication to buy people. And I asked them the question. I says, see, when you're trying to implement it, can you tell me how you go about it? Well, what we normally do is we just tell people, listen, we have a president, and I'm like, and there's the problem.
As soon as you say we're telling people,
involve them, ask them loads of questions, get them
what
involved.
What are your problems?
Get them involved, because they'll probably tell you because everybody's got that thing in their head, right? Why it won't work, right? Everybody's got that. It might work for that kind of sector, but it won't work for this. Well, why do you think that?
Of it. Some people are genuinely frightened of it.
I use it all the time, every day. I use it for emails. I've got Fixer AI.
Yeah.
It saves me time.
It's a useful tool, and it can be useful for helping us to do, like I said, like before, like the calculator can be really helpful at speeding up things. It can be useful for that sort of like systems approach to speeding up things. You know, I personally don't like it for like content and things like that. I want to be human. I want to be me.
I wrote about that just not long ago on LinkedIn.
What I think it can be good for is things like systems, or for exploring ideas. So like, you know, we're talking about where people don't always have people to talk to and things. So it can be a good system for, you know, like a bounce board. Like, you know, I'm thinking of this. You know, are there things I'm missing? You know, maybe are there some questions that I could ask around this? So it can help you to develop your thoughts, I think, as a tool. I wouldn't let it do everything for me, because I want my thoughts to be mine.
Absolutely.
And I want my learning to be mine as well, because I think there's a danger that if we just use it all the time, that we get lazy, and then if we're not using you know, the greatest gift we've got, to think and to learn and to grow,
is that brain between our ears,
you know, then, you know, there's a danger that we don't appreciate it, we don't use it as much, and then, you know, maybe do we start losing the confidence in that. But for me, I think as a tool, used with caution, and used, you know, limited, so that it's helping us, use it as a tool, see it as a tool, and then it's just like any other tool that we use, like it's a helpful thing, you know. Yes, there's unknowns, and I'm not an expert, so there is things that concern me about it too, but you know, I'm proceeding with caution, I guess, is how I'm using it.
See, I just always think, like, the speed of change over the last few years. I would say COVID. So at the start of COVID to where we are now is just, it's like a different world. It's a different world. And I just think AI is changing so fast. It's doing so much. It can be quite like, and by the way, you'll never take the human element out of it, because AI can't do what a human can do. They can't reason the way that we reason. They can't, as we mentioned before, they can't look at a calculation and go, doesn't look right, because it's based on their learning.
It just gives you an answer.
It's just going to give you an answer. So, you know, I'm totally bought into AI is a good thing if it's regulated properly.
Absolutely.
And as you said, it's not there to take over. I mean, it will take over a lot of roles, but that's not its purpose. But it's to make things better, I think.
I agree. But if you think back to, like, you know, the Industrial Revolution, that took over a lot of roles, but it also opened up so many things.
Absolutely.
There's so many job roles, and COVID has taught us this. If it's taught us anything, it's that there's job roles today that we don't know about that in 5 years are going to be mainstream, right? You know, before COVID, like social media and that was like a frilly thing. You know, now it's like there because everyone had to move online. You know, all these jobs that became online are working differently, and the speed of things, as you say, is just, you know, skyrocket, and it's going faster. But I think that's where AI can help us, because some of these, you know, you'll talk to a lot of people, you see a lot of people talking about burnout and, you know, not being able to keep up with the workloads and blah blah blah. So AI, I was talking about systems and things. If we can have them helping us to do the sort of manual kind of rubbishy things, stuff, you know, filtering your emails. You spend like you know, an hour filtering emails.
It's brilliant.
AI things, you know, and it takes that out. You know, you can set up these, so rather than scrolling social media to find the things you want, or your different topics, you know, so me as a researcher, look at the type of things, looking at the news, for example, what do I need to be aware of? I can have a thing set up with AI that can help me to tailor those things. And yes, I can go and do a human interrogation of that and make sure I'm still getting to see the things I want to see, but it can cut down my time for certain tasks. So I think if you use it in a way that facilitates a helpful thing for you, then you can make the best of it, and you can still do the things you want to do.
It's great for things like case studies. So when we're teaching leadership courses, part of it is, as we call it, mastermind. So groups of leaders trying to solve a problem, right? And it's to get them to think a bit different. And I'll tell AI, so this is the problem, this is the solution. Create a case study so that somebody can read it and then the outcome has to be around these parameters.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. And just to have to write that stuff.
Yeah.
And it would take me days and days.
Yeah. Or ages to find someone that's had that specific scenario, you know what I mean? So
I'm not it's all, but so I've wrote a lot of our stuff is articles. So you read an article, then it's your opinion on the article. Yeah. And I had to write, so all our articles, I've written them.
Yeah.
And it's all been based on my life experiences. So what I've experienced in life, things that I've came up against, that I think would be really pertinent to the conversation.
Yeah.
But now I don't need to do all mine stuff. Now I can literally say, this is what I want. Yeah. This is what the kind of outcome. This is I can even go as far to say, this is how I kind of want to take the thinking. Yeah. I want to kind of take it down this path. Yeah. Please script it in a way that it gives them options, but ultimately this is kind of what we're looking for. Exactly. And it's brilliant for that. It's brilliant.
There's so many good uses of it as well.
Right, I want to go back to something. I want to go back. I want to go to this. So, PhD.
Yes.
Business. What's next? What is next for Anne? What does that look like?
So for me, the focus for the next 3 years is the PhD. I've only just started it.
That's right, I've seen that.
That is my focus. So it's based on sustainable.
Is it in Caledonia? Is it
it's at Glasgow, Cali. So
I've seen that. I've seen the picture outside it.
Back home to Cali, which is so nice. Although it's been really strange again. It's like what you're talking about at the beginning, like going to campus, being in a place that you don't think's for you, and then it's like suddenly you're back doing a PhD, and again it's like people like me don't do that, but actually people like me do that.
Do that, yeah.
And actually loads of people like me do that. Mm-hmm. But even, it's just a different process as well now. So although I'm back at Cali, there's still lots of new stuff as well. So it's out of that comfort zone, it's learning. I've been doing some guest lectures for them with my planning experience. Yeah. And hopefully there'll be more opportunities to do stuff like that. But I'm learning all about, writing effectively, doing my thesis. And so I'm just like a big sponge at the moment, taking up loads and loads of knowledge. And I'm seeing it as like such a great opportunity for personal development, but professional development, and to contribute something back to the industry. So my topic is on sustainable procurement in healthcare built environment. And my PhD is in collaboration with the NHS. So I'm going to have mentors from the NHS, and I'm hopefully I will be looking at some of their systems that relate to decarbonisation in the healthcare built environment. And hopefully by the end I'll create a framework or a piece of work at least that will have impact in real world applications. So I will leave a legacy and hopefully improve something within the NHS during my 3 years. So that's my focus just now. And I'm still working a couple of days a week for my client. So I'm loving that. They're brilliant. They're just almost excited about the PhD as me. They've been with me from that moment because I told them I'm pursuing this, I'm coming away from you, and then they've been on that journey with me, like the interviews and starting and doing my inductions and all that sort of thing. So they've kind of been on the journey a little bit with me and been really supportive about it. So I'm so lucky to have again that supportive community around me in a new community, but they've made me feel so welcome. And even from like the first week, I feel like I'm part of their.
How have you found the learning curve? Because I remember, so when I first went back to college and in uni, I found that, going back into learning again, I found that really hard. Yeah. But once I was back, I've never stopped. Yeah. I realised because I didn't understand when I was younger, because I've got ADHD and I've got dyslexia, and I know everybody says it. I just didn't know I had it. I just thought I had a really short attention span and I just couldn't spell. Yeah. Right. Even though when I read things, it made sense, but when I tried to write it and it was like two, I couldn't understand. And I was kind of reflecting that, you're not good enough, you're not clever enough. All the things that happen.
Yeah. All the stories we tell ourselves.
All the stories we tell ourselves. Absolutely. Self-talk.
And the stuff that everyone else tells us.
Absolutely.
The society tells us. It's so ingrained. Like even if they don't think they're telling us, like. The world tells you, it's all coded.
I'll give you an example. So my mum would be, James is not a very good speller. So what I'm hearing this. Yeah. So what am I believing? James is not a good speller. Yeah. Now I can spell a lot better because of practice and understanding. I need to look at words a lot longer, and so when somebody types, I can't type fast. Yeah. I can't write fast because I've got to constantly think if I spell the word right because my brain just doesn't work. Yeah. But I don't look at that as my superpower. My point was that getting into that learning. Once I got into I remember sitting in a class, right, and most of the people were younger than me. They were kind of 17, 18, 19, and it was an HND. And I remember sitting in there and they were saying, right, laptops. It was actually desktops. Open your computer up, blah blah blah. Open up the desktop up, and they were telling us to open files. I'm like, what's a file? I hadn't a clue. I had to ask this young guy who ended up becoming really good friends. I had to say to him, what's a file? How do you open a file? It's dead easy. You do this. I hadn't a clue. I hadn't a clue. And when I finished that with, what do you call it when HD, when you get the highest? I can't bloody remember. Merit. So I got a merit.
Oh, brilliant.
And it was just once I got back into the learning, I started to really enjoy it. So I went from shitting myself to really enjoying it, and I never stopped. That was it. I thought, no, learning knowledge. And by the way, I've got a saying that you've heard knowledge is power, right? Well, I don't necessarily agree that knowledge is power. Knowledge is power if you do something with it.
Absolutely.
The knowledge.
If
you take that knowledge and actually do something with it. And that's been my life.
Knowledge is all by itself, like you say, if you don't do anything with it, it's just
useless.
It's what is it? It's a book on a shelf. If you apply it and take action and make it work for you. So similarly to me, I started and it was scary. I have a similar story, however. When I was at school, my maths teacher said to me, see if you're having a bad day in the exam, just don't bother coming because you're pretty rubbish and your prelims are okay. So if you're having a really bad day, don't come because your prelims will stand in. And I think he was being flippant, but and I'd always struggled with maths. I'd really struggled, but I'd always worked quite hard at it. And I thought, I'm not putting up with that. So that, back at that time, we went to the church. So there was a man there that used to be like some sergeant major or something in the army, but was really good at maths, like engineering stuff. So he sat with me and helped me do. And I didn't tell my maths teacher, but I just thought, F you, you don't tell me not to come. I'll be there.
Somebody says no, you're low.
You know what I mean? So, but the thing was, I let this you're bad at maths thing creep in, and that's why I didn't actually go back to uni or I didn't go back to college. I didn't
because
seek it out
you've got this wee
for
voice.
so long because it was like, you're rubbish at maths. So when I went to that first interview back at Forth Valley College, I was like, I'll tell you now, I'm not good at that. What? And he's like, you're telling me you're no good at that, but you've worked in retail hospitality, you're counting numbers, you're doing all this.
Absolutely.
He's like, your lived experience is tells me a totally different story. You know what I mean? So I was like, right, okay, well, that doesn't make sense to me, but now it makes sense to me. But at that point, I just couldn't see the wood for the trees for it. And even madly, a few years ago, I was asked to explain my job role to 8-year-olds. And I was like, in relation to maths, it was maths week. And I was like, no, I don't do maths. I'm rubbish at maths, can't do maths. I've struggled all the way through uni. And I will say, Glasgow was brilliant, Forth Valley was brilliant. The lecturers have always been really supportive. And what I learned was that action piece was when something's hard and you want to run away, that's when you need to put your head down.
Stick, absolutely.
That's when you've got to really pay attention. So
double down, keep going. It's uncomfortable, but it will get better.
That's where to go. And so, and practice, like you said, with the spelling, for me, practice with the maths. So through university, I got there, and like I say, I managed to get through, and
Listen, what I needed to do. Listen, you're doing a bloody PhD. You must know your maths.
So I was asked to speak to these children about maths in a construction plant, and now I'm just like, this is bizarre. But at that point, I said, I can't do that. There's no maths in my job. I don't do maths because I'm rubbish at maths. So don't speak to me, speak to someone else. And they were like, you're working in construction, you must have maths in your job. Everyone has maths in their job. So again, they said, well, put this maths person from University of Edinburgh in the maths department, tell them what you do every day, and then they'll help you pick out the maths. And I spoke to the woman for 5 minutes, told her what I did, and she was like, all of that is maths? And I was like, no, I'm sorry, you're wrong, but I don't do maths. I was trying to argue with this maths lecturer about my job. And I was like, no, I'm rubbish at maths. I don't do maths. And she was like, all of your job is maths. That's all you do every day is maths. And I was like, no. And
trying to get your head around that must have been really tough.
It took me ages. And then, anyway, I went and did the presentation and I spoke to children about my job. And then what I've done since then on this, you're bad at maths, because I don't accept that now. I accept that those are stories I told myself. Those are stories that people told me. I have challenges with maths even still, and if someone says to me, go and do an equation. But it's all right. I look at it as Disney. I'm never going to be a mathematician. No,
I'm never going to be an English teacher because I don't have my brain doesn't work like that, and I'm all right with that.
Yeah, and I think
know
that's
enough.
The thing.
I know enough.
That's it. It's knowing what you need to know to get by and what you're trying to do. So sometimes you'll maybe, like for me, going into construction and to pass these courses that I've went through, I needed to know more than what I had. So I've gritted down. I've learned what I need to do. I had a really clever, what I think was clever because it worked for me clearly, was a strategy when I had exams, whereas most people go into an exam and open the paper, do question 1, do the next one. I would go in, find the ones with the maths that I found really difficult, and do them first. So it was out of my head and I didn't need to worry about them. I'd write the equations on the front sheet first, so that I didn't like sit with it all the way through the exam, worrying and then panicking and then messing up everything else. So I went, found it, did it first, and then got it out of my way. So I've done that, and I've persevered, and I've sought experience and help from my communities, my lecturers, the people that were better than me in maths. How do you do that?
Go ask them. That's my story, by the way. That's all I've done my whole life.
But also practice, and what I say, so I do a lot of, I trained as a numeracy champion with national numeracy.
Wow.
So now
Somebody that's not good at maths.
I tell my story now to children and to parents and to teachers about how language matters, the way we talk about maths.
Absolutely.
Because the stories that...
And the parents don't even know what they're doing to the kids when they're saying these things. Yeah.
Like my maths teacher said to me, don't come. And I think it was just being a bit off the cuff and just like, just don't come.
Don't worry about
probably
it.
Trying to be a bit helpful.
You'll probably get a pass, so don't come and make a mess.
Trying to be helpful in a way, but that really stuck. So I now speak to parents and teachers about that language. You see it all the time. People say, I don't need maths. I don't ever use maths. We all do. So I do that. I speak to children, and my message to them is practice. So if you want to get better at football or dancing, and that's what children relate to, whatever skill, and maths is a skill, but I think we see it as like an infinite. Like your mum saying to you, you're not good at maths, you're not good at spelling. It's either good or not good. So then it's fixed mindset. But if you say, well, it's a skill and it can be built, everyone can get better, so it's practice.
Absolutely.
It's, if you want to get better at football, I say to them, if you want to get better at football, you don't need to know the whole game. If you're the goalkeeper, you focus on goalkeeper skills. So if I want to be a maths or in construction, and this is the maths I need to do, that's the skill set I need.
Yes.
So I focus on, I don't need to maybe know all the equations, I don't need to know quadratic equations, I don't need to know all that sort of stuff, because I'm not coming across that. I need to know percentages, I need to know this, I need to know reasoning, I need to know analysis, and that's what I can do. So I focus on those skills. So if you want to be a goalkeeper, you focus on those skills. If you want to be a person in construction, this is my kind of job.
And that's what kids will understand, isn't it?
And that's
when you break it down into something simple.
Say, actually, it's just skills. And then sometimes you need to do, you need to go to practice on Wednesday night because you need to play the game. So, I need to do my job. So I need to practice things. I need to keep up to date with things. I need to refresh my skills. And sometimes you need to do drills. Sometimes you're really not good at something, so you need to do a drill to make sure you're better at that, because that's the thing that's always tripping you up. So then in football, if that's the thing that's tripping you up, that's the thing you focus on.
Absolutely.
And you just
a little bit better every day.
And a little bit better every day.
Listen, we're getting to that time now. Ask all my guests this. What's your 3 top piece of advice? So let's say there's a young female or a male or anybody listening to this and they think, my God, I love that story. What was your top 3 piece of advice in business or in life to move forward? So
overall, a couple of things have been super helpful for me. First of all, curiosity. Ask questions of yourself. Ask questions about the stories you tell yourself. Does this, this might have served you. It might have served me to stay working in the shop for a long time. But actually ask yourself, is this serving me now? Yes, it might have served me a while ago. Sometimes we tell ourselves stories and we end up in situations because we need to protect ourselves. We need to do what we need to do at the time.
Survival. Evolution,
sometimes you've just got to do what you need to do. But sometimes we do things and then we get in habitual method. You just get habitual at them and you just keep doing them. And you don't really know why you're still doing them, but you've always done it that way.
So ask yourself questions.
Ask other people questions. Ask questions about everything and anything. Systems, the way things are done at work, the way things are done in a business. If you want to join a business, is it the right business? Find out about it. Question as much as you can, as much information. The second thing is courage. for me, I've said, I've had many challenges, but just sometimes courage for me is just, in some of the challenges I've had is literally just getting through the day.
Yes.
Sometimes it's getting up.
That's all it is, isn't it?
And sometimes
it's the courage to just keep moving forward.
Sometimes I'll make really big and brave things and I'll leave my whole existence and move 3.5 hours away. Sometimes that's the courage, but that's not the everyday courage. People see that and they go, "Oh my, that's so brave, I can never do that." Yes, you could, because if you're in that situation,
it's a decision, it's a mindset.
If you're in that moment and you're in that mindset where you're looking for that radical change, you will change something and you will do something drastic.
We've got courage, we've got questions, we've got courage.
And then I think just, believe in yourself and take those little actions. Actions are really important. Like you say, knowledge is good. All these learnings is good. You can learn everything you want to learn, but if you don't actually do anything with it, apply it.
Just waste.
It's just a waste. So take action towards what you want to do. And you know what? See if it doesn't work out. It's fine, because
I'm like you, by the way. I have had so many different careers, and there's no right or wrong, because you don't know until I think, and you probably really experienced this yourself. It's only I've had to go through all those journeys to become who I am today. And I feel like this is my purpose.
Absolutely.
I feel like at the 53, I've found my purpose.
Yeah, but you know that way? People really underestimate how important it is to know that you don't like something or you don't want to do something. Yeah. Sometimes you don't know that until you give it a go.
Yes, of course.
And that's actually powerful information to have. It's still knowledge, it's still powerful information, but actually knowing that's a road I don't want to go down is really powerful, because then it allows you to focus on other opportunities and the potential road that you really do want to go down. So if something doesn't work out, it's fine, but you'll still learn skills along the way. I've done things where it hasn't worked out in the way I wanted it to do, but I've still learned skills, like for example, I did my podcast and I learned skills along the way. I built my skills, I built my confidence, and while I've not continued with that, mostly time constraints, energy constraints, I've learned loads of skills that I can apply when I'm coming to other podcasts, hopefully. And also just presentation skills and confidence behind the camera, just putting yourself out there a wee bit. Madly enough, a few weeks ago, I did this thing where I stood on the Forth Bridge and did a boudoir photo shoot in underwear.
Oh, dearie me.
Bizarrely, but when I'm talking about 2-3 years ago, I wouldn't even put a selfie on LinkedIn. And I stood on the bridge on a Saturday afternoon when, there's buses go by and everything, and so with little acts of intention, with little question what's working for you.
It is the little stuff, isn't it? Just so done consistently. Listen,
they mount up. We're
getting to the end of the podcast. We've done our 3 questions. If anybody's listening, they want to get in contact with me, how do they get in contact with you, Anne? The
best way for me probably is LinkedIn, so you get me at Anne Okafor at LinkedIn, and all my details are there. Brilliant.
Listen, all my guests get a copy of my book. This is my book, Success and Excuses, so that's for you as well. So if I'm reading it's just my story. Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and your journey's incredible, and I really believe that this is what the podcast's all about. It's because we get those choices every day.
100%.
Do we go down the path of success, or do we just make an excuse and never move forward? So your story is exactly what we need to hear. It's the real story of real people who go on and do something with their life because they take control. So on that note, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Brilliant.
It's been a pleasure.